Hello. So where are we? Game week 25 just finished. Game week 26 deadline coming soon. Friday, 6:30, I think. I've got another green arrow, 100 points. Very lucky, very happy. The Emery draw again was just beautiful last night. But the swing wasn't actually that much in the end. Slot got 13, Emery got 14. But it felt more. I think it felt huge because I think there's been such a spotlight in the community on the assistant manager that it just felt like a really big win. But I don't think it was actually that massive in the end. Wood was my biggest killer. Watkins as well. Anybody that kept Wood or had Watkins, I think, did well. And also the triple captainers, Salah triple captainers, I think have just subtly done very well in the last two game weeks. Not that spotlight hasn't been on them as much because it's been on the assistant manager, but they've done very well there. 29 and 20 points for Salah. Yeah, but I got a green. I've been squeaking through recently. I've had like these 4 reds. Then to get 2 greens back to back into 7.5k is like obviously still feels surreal. Very lucky. But I've been squeaking through. I've got the Trent goal. Gakpo not playing, got 5 for Rao off the bench. Emery getting that draw. Dango getting a goal. It's like a little bit maybe lucky. Yes, I've been feeling like I've been squeaking through only just recently. It's difficult to get the flow and the feel of things at this stage in the season. The first half of the season, there's just like a flow and everything's the same and it just ticks along. And then when you get chip season, it's difficult to get your decisions right. And sometimes the chips can be very trappy, especially with doubles. You know, you kind of get pulled around by them. And I liked the first half of the season where I just had a nice team and it was kind of just set and forget and I had solid players and they just ticked along. But now it's like selling Wood for Gakpo. I think it was a good decision. I think it was pretty unlucky that Wood got his first hat-trick the day I sold him, the game week I sold him, and then Gakpo happens to get his leg trodden on and he gets an injury. It's fairly unlucky, I think that. So and I don't think the swing's been that huge, 12 points-ish, but yeah. But you just got to go careful with these doubles and all the chip season. They can swing you around a bit. It's difficult to get the maths right. So going forward, I think in FPL sometimes I find that you have like an initial instinct. Whenever you've got a decision to make, you have like an initial instinct. And then this is what I do. I tend to overturn, leave no stone unturned, start kind of looking at every avenue, overthinking, and then more often than not, I'll end up at my initial decision anyway. But sometimes I overturn things and I'm like, you know what? I changed my mind. And that's like one of the fun parts about FPL. And if I was to just look at my initial instincts without overthinking, I feel as though my decisions are already kind of simple. I'm going to wildcard 31, triple captain 32, bench boost 33, free hit 34, and my transfers up until 29 are all kind of set because in 29 I've got like Salah and Isaac I'm going to bench, and then I've got Trent, Munoz. Let's go back here. I've got Trent, Munoz, Rodgers, and Gakpo to sell. So they're my 4 players. I'll probably keep one of them. I can bench one of them. So I've just got to sell 3 of them. I'll probably do another assistant manager transfer. And so my moves are kind of set. And Rodgers, if I sell him, he's going to go to probably a Bournemouth mid again, Kluivert. I don't know, there's not many options. Gakpo will go to Wood or Cunha maybe. And then Munoz and Trent, I probably won't sell until 29. And I'll probably go for like Vardy maybe. I don't know, but I actually feel like my moves are all quite set and I don't have to think about it. But I have been trying to think about it, like going into all the what about this and what about that. Free hit 33 maybe. What about free hit 29 versus 34? Playing with all this stuff. But I think my initial instinct is actually quite simple and I'm probably overthinking it. So I'll get onto the big picture later on, but just in the immediate, game week 26, my plans are to sell assistant manager Emery. I'm going to move him on. Some people have looked at the prices, like if you look at like Rob T's numbers here and stuff, they're looking at it and saying, well, Slots predicted 5.4. Some of these are predicted 8. You're only getting 3 extra EV. Maybe you've got another transfer that's worth more than that. Maybe you've got a bigger red flag to do. So some people are looking at that. I think that's fair. But I don't know. Maybe I've been affected by overestimating the assistant manager chip. But I still want to change him. It's just fun. It's just fun. So I'm going to change the assistant manager because if you think of the assistant manager as like a 12th man premium player, would we how often would we use a transfer to change like a Palmer to a Saka to a Son to a whoever to a Salah over 1 game week periods, as each one played Southampton, then Leicester and Ipswich or something, would we normally spend 3 transfers just to switch a premium one to the other in 3 game week blocks? Possibly if you had lots of transfers, but usually probably not. We just tend to stick. So I think that instinct maybe is a bit, if you can stick to one manager, it probably would be better, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to change him anyway, just for fun. And at the moment, I'm leaning towards Arteta now, even though I've been really big on the table bonus, and I thought I'd go table bonus. Now that Aston Villa got that draw, all of a sudden my instincts have switched, and I've just I feel like I want to go Arteta now, because partly it may be faulty logic, but partly because I don't want to push my luck too far, which is technically wrong logic. You know, if you get 2 heads in a row, it doesn't mean you're more likely to get a tails the next time. So, but then also there's just a vibe. Like I feel like the community, most people lent slightly more towards the safe options, and then now that they've seen that the table bonus options are coming through, most people are now switching to table bonus, and I've just got a kind of contrarian instinct in me that just thinks, it'll be funny if I go safe now, and then all the table bonus ones will lose, and I'll just go safe and get the wins. I don't know. It's a weird instinct like that I feel like I want to go that way. But I don't know. I think, and then also with Aston Villa drawing with Liverpool, I just feel like Arsenal, surely they're going to put everything into this game against West Ham. They've got to win it. Now they are short. They are short up front. So there's no guarantee they're going to win it. And throughout this season, every time Liverpool slipped up, Arsenal haven't taken the opportunity. And I sometimes wonder whether there's a psychology there of like being scared of the limelight. Sometimes, I don't know, maybe they're bottling it a little bit. So that could happen again, but I don't know. I'm an Arsenal fan as well. I shouldn't let that bias creep in, but it'd be nice to own Arteta as my assistant manager. Maybe give me an extra chance to cheer for him. So I'm suddenly leaning Arteta, but Leicester and Crystal Palace, Glasner are both good picks. If you activated your assistant manager in game week 25, I think going for Glasner has an extra benefit because he's got a chance of a table bonus in 27 as well. At the moment, I'll put it as 50-50. But it's a really good table bonus if it comes through. Odds checker have them at 77, 70, 30, 38% odds, win odds there. So that's a really good one. So you might be able to save a transfer there. Anybody going for Glasner if you're doing it next game week as well. Odds checker have Leicester ever so slightly higher by my model win odds. So I don't think Van Nistelrooy's a bad punt. There's a weird intuition with the table with the assistant manager where it's about the relative difference between the two teams. So it's not, Leicester are crap, but then Brentford aren't that great either. And I think if the bookies have got it at these odds, sometimes I think maybe you should just trust the bookies with this and trust 11 if I had odds like this as well. Because yes, Crystal Palace are good, but then relatively speaking, compared to Fulham away, maybe it's not as good. Whereas Leicester and Brentford, maybe it's closer. So I'd be inclined to still maybe. I mean, I think Van Nistelrooy is fine. It's out of those 3, isn't it? And I think they're all as good as each other. And I haven't decided yet. At the moment, I'm suddenly leaning Arteta after last night. But those 3 are all good. Haven't decided yet. I'll leave that till the end, till the deadline. And then game week 27, there's some really good table bonus punts here. The best safe bet is Chelsea versus Southampton, but that's Chelsea in it right now. There, it's not a bad safe game, but can you trust Chelsea? Not sure. And then Wolves versus Fulham. I mean, these are the first odds we've had that go over 30%. Game week 24, 25, and 26. I don't think we've had table bonus games with win odds over 30%. So Wolves versus Fulham at home is over 30%. That one's really nice. Brighton versus Bournemouth, 42.44% from the bookies. 11.09 predicted points. And these two I don't know. I can't kind of work out how likely they are to be table bonus. That should be that. I can't work out how likely they are to be table bonus because it's kind of tricky. But I think Brighton versus Bournemouth there's a fair chance of it. It looks it. You'd have to have a look yourselves, but yeah, they're at least kind of like 50-50-ish. There might be a fair chance that one of these will be a table bonus. So good table bonus options in 27. I'd probably go table bonus in 27 just because I don't really want to trust Chelsea for my safe option. Yeah, that's the assistant manager anyway. So that's what I'm doing. I'm probably going to go to Arteta. And then I've got another choice between... I've got one more transfer and I can sell either Rodgers or Gakpo. And at the moment, I'm thinking of selling Rodgers to either Kluivert or Semenyo. And it's probably going to be Semenyo at the moment. I've started to lean towards Semenyo. So it's a tricky one. Gakpo's the one who's flagged. But what I'm thinking is I can bench him because I've got Raul Jimenez. I can bench him and just wait and see if he comes back, and then I can get him for that Southampton game, which is nice. There's no guarantee he will play that Southampton game. This is all a bit complicated to try and figure out what to do here. So Gakpo, Southampton, Liverpool fixtures, where are we? Let's have a quick look at this. So we're here, and Liverpool have got Man City here, Newcastle 3 days later. They've got a rest in the FA Cup because they're out of that, but they'll have the round of 16 Champions League game here and here, and then they play Southampton there. Now, my prediction would be that Gakpo will start on the bench against Man City. He might get a start against Newcastle, and then in the Champions League he'll probably start if he's fit by that point. But then, will he start Southampton? He'd probably get a rest, wouldn't he, or something like that. He'll probably start on the bench, play the Champions League games. Maybe not though. He might start on the bench there, start on the bench there. No, I don't know. Maybe he'll play that one and he'll get start on the bench. That at least you get the chance to see where he starts. I could hold him, and if he starts on the bench in the Champions League, then maybe I'd fancy his chances of starting against Southampton. But I don't know. Doesn't feel great. I don't feel great about that. Plus, he's going down in value, and every 0.1 he goes down, I'm going to lose value in him. And at the moment, I think of every 0.1 as worth about 1 point. Because over the course of a season, at the start of the season, every 0.1 is worth at least 2 points-ish. So right now, I'm kind of in my mind, I'm calculating that as about 1 point at this point. Because it's worth at least 2, maybe 3 points over the course of a season. So I'm putting a measure on that of about 1 point every 0.1 I lose. Especially with bench boost coming up, team value could be important. And if Wood goes up as well, or Cunha goes up, I might lose some value there. Whereas Rodgers, I can afford to lose a bit of value in. 0.1, and he's not going down as fast. But yeah, so what I could sell Gakpo to Wood or Cunha now, or somebody now, and then I could just do Rodgers to Semenyo or Kluivert next game week, and I'll just miss this. I'll miss double Bournemouth against Wolves for this one game week, which doesn't seem so bad. But my instinct still feels like I just want to do Rodgers to Semenyo now. Rodgers to Semenyo. What's going on there? That's right. Rodgers to Semenyo now. And have him for that game. That's my logic. That's my hunch at the moment. But because also with Gakpo and Cunha, they don't have great fixtures now. It feels like the wrong time to bring them in. Feels like the wrong time to bring them in. Yeah, but my model has Wood really high as well. 26 to 30. That's when I'll be bringing him in. Wood just still seems really high, even though this is set to just 100% XGI data. So this is like the minimum for Wood, 0.54 XGI data. He overperforms that, and he's been doing much better in recent game weeks. So his numbers should be even higher than that, probably. But he's still high up on the model, even though he's playing. I mean, Newcastle and Man City are considered like semi-tricky games, but not that hard. It's the Arsenal one that's considered hard. He got a hat-trick against Newcastle last season. Yeah, I could just bring him back in. He's 60% EO. Keeps killing me every game week. I'm not averse to bringing him back in. It does look like the worst time to bring him in, those 3 game weeks. But I'm not averse to just bringing him in. And if I add on that team value loss that I might get with Gakpo, I should probably factor that into the calculation as well, potentially, maybe. Or maybe I'm in the overthinking phase. Anyway, they're my thoughts I need to do. Rodgers and Gakpo to either Semenyo and Kluivert or Wood or Cunha. If I wait, maybe I can have a clearer idea game week 28, 29. Maybe that my decision will be made clearer whether to go for Wood or Cunha then. Yep. So I've got to figure that one out. And then Semenyo or Kluivert. I was going to go Kluivert, but I'm now leaning Semenyo because Kluivert. One of the things I'm worried about with Kluivert is that I think every time Bournemouth get 3 game weeks in a row, he tends to get benched, one of them. So the last time they had 3 in a row was, where is it? Bournemouth here, and Kluivert started that one. He actually started on the bench against Chelsea. He ended up coming on because somebody got injured, and Iriola said that Kluivert would have started if they had a fully fit team, and they still don't have a fully fit team. So he didn't start that one, but he did come on in the end and play. And then before that as well, they had another game where they had 3 in a row here, and Kluivert started these 2, but something funny happened in that Crystal Palace game where he got a suspicious yellow card in the first 4 minutes for pulling somebody's shirt and then kicking the ball away. The time wasting like the first 4 minutes, which was a bit, and then he got suspended for Fulham, which kind of makes me think maybe they were planning to rest him anyway, and so somebody's just told him to get a yellow card there, possibly. I don't know if that's cynical or what, but that could have been what happened there. So maybe he was planned to have a rest in that 3 game week period as well. The only time he's played in 3 in a week was here, but then this was a Saturday to Sunday turnaround. It's a bit more rest there, a bit more time to rest. So, and he played like 60 minutes here, just lessened minutes. So I'm a little bit worried about Kluivert's minutes. Going forward in 26, he's got 3 in a week again here. And he played in the FA Cup last time, so there's every chance he'll play here. So he might miss one of these games. I'm slightly wary of that. And then also if they beat Wolves, they'll have 3 in a week again here in the quarter. That'll be the FA Cup quarter final there. And then in the double in 33, if they get a double in 33, he'll probably have 3 in a week there as well if they get to the semi-finals. And also on top of that, Kluivert's non-penalty XG is worse than Semenyo's. It's like 0.4 something because he's had loads of penalties. Now he is on penalties, and penalties is good, but he's had like 6 of them this season, and that's quite unusual. 5 of them were won by Evan Nilsson, I think, and he's not around to win him penalties anymore. And I know again, you get 5-6 heads in a row doesn't mean you're less likely to get a head the next time. But I think it might be different with football. I think with penalties, sometimes I think the refs might be aware. Like a Black Box talked about this, where sometimes if there's too many penalties being given, maybe the refs have kind of correspondence and they talk about it and they think, maybe we need to lessen up a bit. Maybe we need to have more penalties. I do wonder whether they talk about this and it's not totally unnoticed by the referees. And so Bournemouth have had a lot of penalties this year, more than anybody else, I think. So it may mean that he has less penalties going forward, may not, I don't know. But his non-penalty XGI is worse than Semenyo's, and his minutes, he's always getting subbed off like 73 minutes is his average minutes per start, whereas Semenyo plays, he's more of a 90-minute man, where is he there? 88 minutes. So over the next, if I go up to like game week 33, because this is probably when I'm going to want to keep him for. I think if Kluivert was to play 6 of those 9, here I've got him at 66%. He comes down to, that puts his score down to about just under 40, and Semenyo would be over. So Semenyo becomes better than him. And then if you take penalties off of Kluivert as well, you look at his non-penalty XGR, he'd be a lot worse than Semenyo. So that's what I'm kind of leaning towards now. So I'm actually thinking maybe it is better to just go for the safe option, Semenyo. He had a period early in the season where he blanked a bit, and it was a bit frustrating to own for some, but he started scoring again now, I think. He started scoring again a bit now. Yeah, goal and assist there, assist, goal, blanked against Liverpool, then assists against Southampton. So, yeah, so I'm leaning Semenyo now, I think, rather than Kluivert. But if you don't have any, I'd still probably go Dango first, especially if you're wildcarding 31, because you can always clean that up in the wildcard. But he's playing up front, number 9, and his numbers just look better than all of them. And he seems to be playing like he's a 90-minute man. He's playing good minutes now. He seems to be a bit more of a fitness monster. What's happening? I've frozen my machine up. Yeah, 0.71 for the season. It's better numbers. 0.47 the last 6 game weeks. Not as good, but still, I'd go Dango. So anyway, that's my immediate plans. Emery to Arteta probably, but I'll think about it. And then Rodgers and Gakpo. I'm probably going to sell Rodgers to Semenyo now for Wolves, because that feels like a better fixture now, and I can play Rao against Crystal Palace. Another reason not to go for Glasner, because I've got Raul Jimenez, and I might actually play Mikalenko against Man United rather than Munoz against Fulham. And one more thing to notice about Fulham is something I noticed is in the last 6 game weeks, Fulham have the best XGA numbers in the last 6 game weeks, which surprised me a bit. 0.77. They've had very easy fixtures, relatively easy. Ipswich, West Ham, Leicester, Man United, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest. Maybe away to Newcastle was a tough one, but their defence is better than Arsenal, Liverpool, and Everton's right now. 0.77. So they've been doing very well. Pretty good XG as well. So them coming off that form into that Crystal Palace game might make you think twice. I mean, Crystal Palace are doing all right though there as well. Their XG is not too bad. So yeah, don't know, but that just might put me off going to Crystal Palace. Going for Glasner. So Mikalenko against Man United, I may just do that. He's got no upside really, but don't know. I'll have a think about that. So that is Game Week 26. That's my thinking. Game Week 27, looking ahead. Game Week 27 has got some tough fixtures, but I think it's tough for everybody. So I think I'll just ride that one out. It's like Liverpool and Newcastle playing each other, Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. A few tough fixtures, but I think I'll just ride that one out. It's not looking too bad. Glad to have Raul Jimenez against Wolves there as well. Then 28 is looking fine. Again, it's that Southampton fixture is nice. It'd be lovely to have Gakpo if I can. The big person I'm missing here is Mateta. I think this is where the free hit 29ers are going to get a benefit by having Mateta in game week 29, and I'm not going to have him. Possibly Cunha. Who's Cunha? No, I don't think it's Cunha, is it? Everton? Nah. Everton are good. Defensively, at least. So, yeah, looks quite good. I think my team's fine in 28. I'm just sticking with sales. And then, so 29 is free hit. The big player I'm going to be missing is Haaland. I don't think I'm going to be getting him. I may not even get him all season, but he's one of the big ones. But then I can bring in Wood or Cunha at least. Nice to have Rao as a differential at least, because the free hitters probably won't go for him. Yeah, I've seen some free hit 29 drafts, and they've got like one Everton, Pickford in goal, maybe one Nottingham Forest. Well, I've done the same there. I'll probably have Gabriel. Probably going to bring Vardiol in. Lewis might come in handy. I've got Palmer. I've got Mbomo, double Bournemouth mid's probably going to have that. So I don't think my team will be too bad. I've looked at kind of rough calculations of it, and I think I'm maybe 8 to 12 EV points below the free hitters, which is not too bad considering how much lower I would be if I didn't free hit in 34. I think you might be like 30 odd points worse off if you don't free hit in 34, or at least with my team. I would probably say, I might talk about this more, but if you're wondering whether to free hit or not, I do think I'm starting to look at free hit 34 and think it looks really important to have. And so if you can get at least 9 players out, I probably still wouldn't free hit in 29. I think maybe if you got 8, 7 or 8, you might start thinking about it. I'd still be inclined to not free hit, even if you got Mateta and stuff like that. Just keeping you, because you're going to make up those points by having players like Mateta on each side. Maybe some other players who have good fixtures either side. You might make up those points by having them because the non-free hitters won't have them. Yeah, so I don't know. At the moment, I'm thinking I'd want to steer clear from free hit in 29 now, just because it looks like it's going to be so important in 34. And then game week 30, I don't need to wildcard 30. I think my team looks all right. That Bournemouth Ipswich game looks nice. Yeah, Man City against Leicester. If I've got some Leicester players, I think it looks fine. I don't think. I mean, I may wildcard. We will have this. I'm certainly going to tinker over the international break. We'll have the FA Cup quarterfinals, so we'll know who's in the semi-finals. We won't know for sure whether the doubles are going to be brought forward from 34 to 33 at this point. And we may not get the announcement. I'm almost inclined to think, though, that you could take an educated guess on that and you'd be fine. But then again, saying that, there's been so many surprises this season already. Maybe not. James from Planet of FPL was talking about the possibility of Newcastle possibly not going in 33 and being moved somewhere else. There are possibilities of 34 games staying in 34 if the teams aren't in Europe. It could just stay in that midweek there. I'm still inclined to think that most of it's just going to go in 33. That's still the most likely thing. More likely than not, because what's it there for? You just got this free midweek, no clashes. That's what it's there for. Just stick it in there. So that's what I think is likely to happen. So you could wildcard in 30. But I think my team looks good enough that I probably won't need to do that. So I'll probably wildcard 31. I will definitely have to wildcard 31 though, because if you want to triple captain 32, you can't wildcard and triple captain on the same week. So I'll have to wildcard 31 if I want to triple captain 32. Yeah, so I'll get into the big picture again in a minute. So wildcard 31, I had a little go at a draft. It's difficult to get a good picture because you don't know for sure what's going to happen yet. So you don't really, and I don't really want to tinker too much because there's still a lot that could change and there could be some more surprises yet. Teams getting knocked out. But if it's Newcastle, wildcard 31, they've got the double in 32. And if they get another double in 33, it's going to be Isaac Gordon and then whoever you want. It could be Lewis Hall. If you're stuck for money for the bench boost, you might be able to go down to a Burn, a Botman, or somebody else, Livramento, I don't know. But that's going to be a lock for most people. That's easy. Bournemouth, I think, as well. If they're likely to double in 33, you probably have your Bournemouth mids. I've gone for Kepa. You could go for a Howson. He's cheap as well, or Kirkes, things like that. Then who else is there? So there's a few single game weekers that you're probably going to want, like Salah and Trent and Gabriel. I've left in here at the moment. And Man City as well. If they get a double, they're very likely to double. Vardy will probably be a lock for most people. At the moment, I've got Edison in there with Kepa because he just rotates a little bit better. You want to have the two keepers who both double in 33 if you can. And Kepa, you could go for Onana, but I don't think Onana and Kepa rotate as nice. Bournemouth have some tricky fixtures this side, 35, 36, 37. Whereas Man United, when you want, they've got kind of good, bad fixtures here. Chelsea here as well, where Man City maybe doesn't rotate as nice. Whereas Man City have like Wolves and Southampton here, just as Bournemouth get tough fixtures. So you could play Edison. Obviously, the problem with Edison, though, is you don't know if he's starting. So this would be if we get news that one of Edison or Ortega is definitely the nailed number one. If one of them's out for whatever reason, then you go with him. But that obviously we may not get that news. So I could even go for just sells, just go for a single game weekend, just go for sells, sacrifice the bench boost, and because sells has still got good fixtures and rotates well with Bournemouth. Then, so yeah, something like that. And then these Villa players, it all depends. The decisions we're going to be making on Wildcard 31. One is Haaland, whether you want to squeeze Haaland in. I'm probably not. He's so expensive. Even with a double, I probably won't. But that's going to be one thing though. Sacrificing Palmer, you might be able to do that to get money for Haaland. Palmer, he does have Brentford and then Ipswich at home, which is a really nice fixture. But then he's got Fulham away, no double, definitely no double. Well, 99%. Everton, then he's got tough fixtures here, Liverpool, Newcastle. So Man United, Nottingham Forest, you could get rid of Palmer, and I probably will, just to save myself the transfer. Or you could keep him in 31, sell him in 33. But yeah, getting up to Haaland is still quite tricky, still quite expensive. Haaland's going to be a decision to make. Then the other decision is like, do you want to go max doublers in 33, or are you happy to go with some single game week players? If you want to do max doublers, you probably need to go for like Aston Villa players or something like that. And it looks nice with all these doublers, but they got Newcastle and Man City in their double game week, and it's not great. And then they've got Southampton here, which is good, but then they got Nottingham Forest in 31. And I think you could change some of these to like maybe a Cunha, maybe a Chris Wood, who probably won't be doubling in 33. They might, but probably won't. But then they're just good picks, and you just ride it out, and you have single game week players. So that's the kind of decisions I will have to be making nearer the time. It's quite tricky to get a decent bench, as well. It's quite a lot of money on your bench. So you might need to get some cheaper players in here somewhere. Rodgers as well. I might end up wanting him back. So I think I've decided with Rodgers, I'm just going to sell him. I'll lose the value. Where is he? So 5. I've got him for 5. He's 5.7. He'll probably go down maybe this week or next to the 5.6. I suspect he'll go down again before game week 29 because he blanks. So people are going to sell him then. So he'll go down to at least 5.5. So if I end up buying him back, I'm going to sell him for 5.3. So I'm only losing 0.2 million on him. So maybe that wouldn't be the worst if I do buy him back. So I think I'm still moving towards selling Rodgers. I don't really want to keep him just for the sake of 0.2 million for like 7 or 8 game weeks. So yeah, that is game week 31, wildcard-ish, 32, 33. One thing I've been thinking of as well is like how to think about your transfers. What I've been thinking about, trying to think of transfers in terms of like at least 3 game week blocks rather than focusing on doubles. Like if you have this like myopic focus on game week 23 bench boost and you want to have max doublers, it might look pretty in 33, but the truth is if you want to have a nice 15 doublers or something in 33, you're going to have to buy them all in 31, and some of these players you can't bench them all, so some of these players you're going to have to play 31, 32, 33, and probably you're going to have to keep some of them afterwards as well because you've only got so many transfers. So you should probably really think of players in terms of like 3 or 4 game week blocks, maybe more. And when you do that, it kind of dilutes the power. Some of these players may be a lot better in the double 33, but when you look at them in a block of 3 or 4 game weeks, it might, there are some players who only have 3 games in 3 game weeks that can outscore somebody who's got 4 games in 3 game weeks, like Wood and Cunha and things like this. So that's going to be one of the calculations I'm going to have to make. I'm going to have to think about, because the bench boost is you have to factor in the bench boost. You have to factor in these players in this game week because you might be benching them for these and then you whip them out here. I don't know. I've got to figure that one out. But that's the rough look of that. Free hit 34. Can I turn that off? No. So, because the thing about free hit 34 is like it's a totally different team. Totally different players. You can kind of see them from the colours of the shirts all changing. But when I looked at free hit 34, bench boost 33, I was getting kind of rough EV numbers of like 130 points ish for like a bench boost 33, and then but then you go into like you only have 3 or 4 players for 34 and you have like 30 points. You got maybe Salah, Gabriel, Trent, and you're getting like 30. And then if you want to maximize 34 so you don't have such a crap 34, you're going to have to sacrifice 33. And so you start putting single game weekers in here, and you get that goes down to about 100 points EV, and this one goes up to 60, and you get like 160 altogether. Or you can maximize this one, get 130, and then get about 30 for this one, which still adds up to about 160. And so you can't kind of, if you want to get through both, you have to sacrifice from 33 to make 34 better. Is like, I think that's probably how it's going to end up being. Whereas if you free hit in 34, then I can potentially get up to 130 EV there and get like a 60, 70 EV here if I smash it. So that's like a 40 EV boost by free hitting in 34 is what I'm thinking. And so going back to game week 29, the fact that my team was only about 8 to 12 EV less, this is why I think maybe if you can get at least 9 players out, you're probably still better off. If you think of a player as like 4 or 5 EV each, even 8 players, you might still be better off saving the free hit till 34. But this is all rough. This is just me rough. This is just rough thinking at the moment. So it may not be the case. When you really do the maths, maybe some of these single game weekers will be better. Like especially Arsenal and Liverpool. Liverpool got Leicester in 33. Arsenal got Ipswich. Could Saka outscore Rodgers against Newcastle and Man City? Probably. I'd probably prefer Saka there. So there's going to be some calculations that has to be made here. Yeah, I'd imagine I'm going to end up with more single game weekers than I'd like, but yep. Yep, and then beyond that, 35. The fixtures change a little bit, but not too much. I won't really go on about beyond that too much. Bournemouth get a bit bad. Yeah, so that's about it. And then let's have a look at just the big picture then. So what did I want to say about this? So here's the big picture. Let's just think about this, because so we had that double game week 32 announcement. That was a bit of a shock. And that was another one that bugged me a little bit once it came out, because I thought, you know what, I should have known that as well. I'm not sure anybody knew it, but like, it was actually a very similar situation to the Liverpool one, which is that Liverpool ended up with a choice. If they wanted to reserve 33 and 36, then basically that Liverpool-Aston Villa game could have either gone in 25 or 37, kind of realistically. They were kind of in a situation like that. And so they've just poured it in 25. Well, the Newcastle-Crystal Palace one, technically, because they're both in the FA Cup, Crystal Palace and Newcastle, they have to keep these two reserved, and therefore the only one they've got left is 37, or they bring it into one of these European slots because they're not in Europe. And so it's that same similar thing. And I'm kind of getting the impression that one of these 2 game weeks, maybe 33, but probably one of 36 or 37, they even want to keep it clear, or there's some reason why they just don't want to kind of pencil in fixtures for that just in case. Maybe, I don't know, but there seems to be a reluctance to use it. And basically, I just did the same thing where I was just like, oh well, you got Newcastle, Crystal Palace. They could get free blanks, and there's free spots for them to go in. No pressure, but there is pressure. They're reluctant to put fixtures in one of these 2 game weeks, I think. And again, James from Planet FPL mentioned 35 that Newcastle could go in. So I should have twigged that actually, technically, if it can go in 35, then yeah, it can go in any of these. And maybe it's even better in these because this quarterfinals, there's less eyes for the TV picks, TV companies to worry about because less eyes on the quarterfinals. I don't know. So, yeah. So the possibility that there could have been another double-double for the assistant managers, that was a possibility that I just didn't think about. And I guess for me, because I was only thinking about I only really cared about triple captain anyway. So because I'd already used my assistant manager, I wasn't really thinking about that much. I knew that the Newcastle Crystal Palace would drop somewhere probably. I thought it would be in 36, so I wasn't that bothered. But yeah. So that one surprised me. Could there be any more surprises? I don't think so. You can't have doubles without blanks, and we've got no more blanks until 34. So the earliest the next doubles can be scheduled is probably 33 because they'd have to announce it here. So it's 33 will be the next doubles. They'll come from the 34 blanks. They could put the 34s in 36, but I don't think so. I think they'll put it in 33 because why would you keep 33 empty? It's just that looks like what it's there for. There's no real reason to keep it empty. I wouldn't have thought. It looks like that's what it's there for, but it also looks like that's what 36 is there for 37 blanks. Is my initial instinct. But it feels like one of 36 or 37, they maybe they want to keep free. James from Planet FPL thought that maybe it would be 36 so that there's more focus on the FA Cup. So the FA Cup teams don't have to play a week before the final. This whole season, there's been more focus on the FA Cup, trying to keep it in its own game week with no clashes with the Premier League. Maybe they want to have a whole week of free TV so that everybody can just focus on the FA Cup with nothing to distract it. Could be some reasoning behind it like that. But I still have my instinct still feels like if 33 is there for 34, then 36 is there for 37. It just looks like that's what it's there for. But you haven't got much time to announce it. There's the FA Cup there. It's only like 2.5 weeks to announce it, which is fine, but it's a little bit tight. They could just go in 37. FA Cup final on the Saturday. The Premier League games will be on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So whoever plays in the FA Cup final on the Saturday can just have their fixture on the Tuesday, possibly even on the Thursday. Yeah, not sure. So basically, game week 36. So I'm now thinking is unlikely to have a double in. Like at the moment, I've got this set to like 50-50 chance that the 37 doubles blanks go into 36 or 37. But it kind of feels like it's probably less likely than that because the reason I originally thought that 36 would likely have a double in was because of Newcastle and Crystal Palace. All you needed was one of Newcastle, Crystal Palace or Ipswich to reach the semi-final of the FA Cup, and they would have 3 blanks and only 3 spots to put them in, and therefore you're very likely to get one in 36, probably something like that. But now that Crystal Palace and Newcastle have been scheduled there, you don't have that pressure anymore. So the only pressure you have left now to kind of put a game in 36 is if Man United reach the semi-finals of the Europa and the final of the FA Cup, which is kind of unlikely. They'll do both of those things. And then the other is if Aston Villa reach the final of the FA Cup and Tottenham reach the semi-final of the Europa, which is a little bit more possible. In that instance, then Aston Villa Tottenham would have to go in 36. They'd have to just schedule it there, I think. So it's certainly possible that a double could go in 36. But that's unlikely. And then the only other situation where you might get doubles in 36 is if the TV schedulers, if the TV companies just want a fixture in 36, like they got, I don't know the details, but some of these will be TV picks in 37. The TV companies might want a nice juicy free midweek slot to have lots of eyes on their TV game. I don't know. It feels weird to have a whole free midweek with no football. And I feel like the TV companies, that's where all the money is. They would surely just pay enough money and they can get a fixture there. I don't know. I don't know how it works. So yeah, I'm just less sure that we're going to get doubles in 36 though now. Now that Palace and Newcastle are there. But this is the likely situation though. Aston Villa, Man City, very likely to blank in 34. So, and I think it's pretty likely to double in 33. I mean, they could move it there to 36, I guess. But then I think it might depend on if, Tottenham are still in the Europa, because it involves Aston Villa there. And Aston Villa might have to go there. So if Tottenham are still in the quarterfinals of the Europa, then I think that would have to be brought forward, the Aston Villa Man City game as well. So it seems very, very likely that will go there. Man United Bournemouth, fairly likely. Bournemouth playing Wolves, Man United playing Fulham. One of them could get knocked out, but that's just the highest likelihood. And then you got Newcastle playing Brighton in the FA Cup. So Newcastle Ipswich. Don't know. We could get a lot of surprises yet. And James from Planet FPL was talking about that Newcastle game. Are Newcastle going to be happy to have a double before an FA Cup semi-final? And if there's a chance that they can fight that and move that somewhere else, could they move it to a midweek here or here? The football clubs have got their own money, and I don't know. Maybe they don't bribe people. Maybe they just have sway. I don't know. But so, yeah, there's a few surprises that could still happen, but this is likely what's going to happen, I think. And so if I've got my wild card in 31 anyway, I think I'm not too bothered. If I just plan for that, I should be able to react to surprises anyway. The only other surprise could be that if too many good teams get knocked out, then maybe you might want a free hit in 33 and a double. If you can actually build your team to go through 34, you could free hit in 33 instead. But the downside of that is that you're sacrificing a bench boost. But as I mentioned earlier, the bench boost might not be that nice because you've got a load of single game week players. So it may not be that great anyway. You could bench boost another game week possibly. I do generally think though that the more you want to bench boost in the biggest double, because even if you have single game weekers on your bench, the more doubles there are, the more likely it is that you're going to be pushing better single game week players to your bench. Even if you got like Disarcy's or Rogers or something like that with a tough double, they might actually outscore, I don't know, a Dango or a Gabriel against Ipswich or something like that. And so you're going to start pushing more and more of your good players, single game week players, to your bench. So yeah, in general, the more doubles there are, the more likely you are to have a better bench, even if it's single game weekers. So that is that, yeah. So free hit 29 versus 34. I am leaning free hit 34 now. Yeah, I don't think the surrounding fixtures for 29 are that amazing. It's only like Mateta. I've got Munoz anyway. It's only Mateta that can really hurt, I think. Maybe Liverpool. Triple captain, probably Isaac, 32. Your options are all, you've got Salah, Southampton, rough numbers, about 14 EV, my model. Other models have different numbers. Isaac is about 14.5 EV, 32. You might get some doubles in 36. I mean, if Haaland gets a double here, if he does manage to get one, that would be quite nice. Southampton, or a Man City player there. Maybe Watkins, but I doubt it. Otherwise, you just use a triple captain on the final game. You can have a Hail Mary on some kind of random player. Look, you got Arsenal's Saka against Southampton on the final day. That could be nice. Yeah, we'll see. And then, yeah, assistant manager. If you haven't used your assistant manager yet, you probably want to use it there, don't you? 31, 32, 33. But you're going to have to sacrifice your bench boost 33. And so I kind of feel like it evens out, because if you use your bench boost in any other game week, if you can find one where you get decent single game week players, you know, in 33, maybe you're going to get like 24 to 32 points. But if you use it in a single game week, maybe you'll get 16 to 24 and you'll lose about 8 points. But if you use your assistant manager over just 4 game weeks rather than 5, you're going to lose about 8 points as well. So I kind of feel like it evens out, probably. I think I would probably assistant manager here, 31, 32, 33, if you haven't used it yet. Get the 5 game weeks, especially as you can just leave it on Howe, probably. Eddie Howe for all 3. Bench boost wherever, maybe 36 if you get lucky. But if not, just in a single. That's probably what I'd do. And if you still got the triple captain, just use it on Salah or something against Southampton. I don't know. That's rough thinking off the top of my head. I think that's it. That is the landscape. I think that's all I wanted to say. Yep. That was a lot of thoughts, a lot of waffle. Yeah, I think I'll leave it there. So, yeah, game week 26, probably bringing in Arteta. Got to figure out whether to do sell Rodgers or Gakpo. And I'll leave it there. Okie doke. Thanks for listening. See you later. Bye-bye.